Hello, this is Veterans News, a production of the United Veterans Organization of Nassau County. My name is Ed Allman. I'd like to thank Altice USA for providing the training and of our crew and for the use of their studio facilities here in Hauppauge. The show is broadcast on public access channels at a time we hope is convenient for you. You can catch Veterans News on YouTube. Just go to Veterans News UVO. I want to say hello to our viewers in both Nassau and Suffolk County. I'd like to thank Sabrina Lacey, former commander of the Suffolk County VFW. Welcome, Sabrina. I'd like to thank our crew. On camera one, Jim Hessler, our audio director, Loretta DeBrino, our video director, Beverly Allman, our director, Bob Lane, and our floor manager, Pat Gulino. Okay, by the way, if you would like to ask me a question or make a comment, or if you would like to become a member of our crew, you can email us at veteransnewsuvo@gmail.com. If you'd like to volunteer some time to help veterans, you can be a volunteer of Veterans News. You'll find it quite rewarding. Our guest today is Richie DeJesu, the commander of AMVETS Post 21 in Oyster Bay, and Richie is also the past New York State commander of the AMVETS. Sabrina and I will ask our guests some questions, but I hope some of our questions come from our camera crew and our background crew. I'd like to see you ask some questions. Okay, we'll talk to our guest in a few minutes, but first let us remember some of the veterans who died recently. Guy Molinari, the Staten Island politician and Marine who served in the Korean War, was an assemblyman, a congressman, and Staten Island borough president. Navy veteran William Caruso. Jack Martinson, a criminal court judge from Long Beach. That's Jack Maxson. He was a Navy man, and in 1944 was the boxing middleweight fighter. Robert Smith of Coram was a U.S. Air Force veteran. Richard Marcus was originally from Rockaway Park in Queens, and he was also a veteran of the Navy. Elmer Answer of Seaford was a Navy veteran of the Korean War. Andrew Gaylord from Hicksville graduated from the Merchant Marine Academy in 1956. Harry White from Locust Valley was World War II, a Navy veteran. John Sherlock of St. James was an Army veteran of World War II. Marvin Denenberg was a Navy veteran from 1959 to 1961, also from Huntington. John Carstairs was an Army veteran. Kevin Conley from the AMVETS was an Army veteran from Massapequa. Thomas Clark, a Vietnam veteran from Lindenhurst. Angelo Aulette. A-U-L-E-T-T-E. What does that sound like? Alouette? Angelo Alouette from Franklin Square, a World War II veteran and a member of the VFW for over 70 years. Kenneth Lawson of Lynbrook served in the U.S. Army during World War II. And lastly, I can't forget John McCain. He was a senator from Arizona, a presidential candidate in both 2004 and 2000, and he was a 5-year POW in Vietnam. That's the end of our Veterans News. Now it's time for our guest. Hello, Richie.
Ed, how are you?
Very good. Richie, let's start off with your military background. What did you do in the service?
Well, I enlisted in the Navy in 1958, and coming out of boot camp, I was sent down to Naval Weapons Station, Earl, New Jersey, and I worked aboard a tugboat out of Earl, and then we were transferred up to New York at Brooklyn Navy Yard, and we pushed and pulled just about everything that came into Brooklyn Navy Yard.
You were in the Navy,
Mhm.
and you were on a tugboat?
Right.
And you did that for your whole tour?
Yep.
Wow. That's amazing.
We were in Brooklyn Navy Yard when the USS Constellation burnt up.
Really?
When that caught fire, and we went out to the Texas Tower when that went down off of Amherst Lake.
Wow.
They had us out working that also. So, and we doubled as basically a New York City fireboat,
Uh-huh.
and we went to a lot of the major fires in New York.
Let me ask you about your boot camp days. Did the Navy have a boot camp?
Yes, we did.
It was called boot camp.
Yeah, Great Lakes, Naval Training Command in Great Lakes.
Okay. What was that like? What was boot camp like?
Well, it's a little bit different from being home, I'll tell you that.
Really?
17 years old.
Did you have to make your bed every day?
Yes.
And
Well, yes.
men yelled at you a lot?
Occasionally, yeah. You did
Uh-huh.
your own laundry, you did your own, you made your own bed,
Okay. You were a young man, 17 or 18?
17.
17. Do you have a lot of memories of R&R or off-duty?
Yeah.
Oh,
Because like I said, we were permanent personnel down in Brooklyn. And when we were in Jersey, we worked 3 days on, 4 days off, 4 on and 3 off. So we had a lot of off time.
uh-huh.
Like-
4 on and 3 off?
And
What
then
does that
4
mean?
We're 4 days on, 3 days off, and then 3 days on and 4 days off.
What was a day on like? More than 8 hours a day?
Oh yeah, you 24 hours a day. If they needed the boat to go out at 1 o'clock in the morning, you were out.
Okay.
And during the day, you did a lot of maintenance work. Shipping rust and painting and whatever.
Okay.
Richard, I have a question for you. During that time, there was a lot of redevelopment going on in Brooklyn, right down there at the Navy Yard, because they started building like, I'm going to say small little areas where you can go shopping and stuff like that. I know they had a school down there, university down there also.
I really didn't see any of that.
You didn't see any of that?
No.
No.
We just went was on the base, and then the couple of streets that surround Flushing Avenue, and like I say, at one time it was pretty wide open.
Yeah. How many years did you serve?
39 months.
39 months. Okay, what did you do after you finished?
I went to work for the state of New York for 6 months, and then I went to
What part of the state of New York did you work for?
I worked for the tree trimmers out of State University in Oyster Bay.
Oh, okay.
And then from there, I went to a tree trim outfit that was a contractor for the lighting company, and I worked 52 years there.
And that's where you got married?
I got married, I don't know, yeah,
52 years? You said you've been married for 52 years, right? 52 years to the same woman.
yeah.
Congratulations.
And that woman is Laura Bladicus.
That's right.
DeJesu.
God bless her, I'll tell you.
Yeah.
Well, you tell Laura she did a wonderful job.
Yeah. I went to school with Laura.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very
I
good.
just want to say thank you for your service, and we commend you for what you have done. Even you were down at the Navy Yard in Brooklyn, there was a lot of stuff going on during that time. If you know your history during the 60s and stuff like that, people were just coming around, new development coming in. Then you live in Oyster Bay, the same thing was going on. The whole world was changing. And then you managed to do tree trimming for how many years?
52 with the contracting outfit for the lighting company.
For 52 years and maintaining your family. So we commend you for all that. And then when did you get involved with the AMVETS?
About 25 years ago.
Okay, what made you join the AMVETS?
Well, at that time, I didn't have the credentials to join the American Legion or the VFW.
What are credentials that you need
Well,
to have?
AMVETS, to be a member of AMVETS, they welcome anyone with an honorable discharge. Anybody that served honorably, no matter where, when. Reserves, they accept reserves, they accept National Guard. Where the American Legion, you have to have they have a criteria, certain years. You had to be in during certain years, and the VFW, you had to be overseas during certain years.
Yes.
So that was I went by one day and I saw the sign out in front of Post 88 and I stopped in. And that
Where was Post 88?
Post 88 in
those-
Massapequa.
In Massapequa?
So Post 88 has been there since how many years?
They've been there since 1968.
Yes. And the community has been very supportive of them?
Yes,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
But-
Do they have a clubhouse?
Yes, they do, right on 692 Broadway.
Oh, sure. They're right next to an Elks Club or a
No,
VFW?
that's down the, that's the American Legion, they're down on Veterans Way.
Right.
We're across the street from where the old Manor East used to be, or we were.
Okay.
And then I left there because I felt that there was a need in Oyster Bay, and that's when we started the Oyster Bay Post.
Okay.
That was a year ago in February.
All right.
Right. Is there a lot of veterans in that area? Is that the reason why a lot of the veteran organizations are closing because of the lack of veterans in that area?
Well, there's a lack of veterans joining posts because I believe, my own personal belief is that if you're not out beating the bushes, you know, trying to get these people, you know, they're not going to, if you don't care, they don't care.
Yes.
I don't go anywhere without applications in my pocket. We have post jackets in Oyster Bay, and anyone that gets a jacket, there's 2 applications in the pocket. You know, they get hats, there's applications that come with the hats. So, you know, if we don't succeed, it's not because we aren't trying.
Okay. Your post now, which post, what is the post number now?
21.
Post 21 now just started how many years ago?
We're a year in February. We're a year February 15th.
And you have grown to how many members now?
Right now we have 78.
78 members.
78 members.
Yes. Did you manage to attract some of the young Iraqi and Afghanistan
Yes,
veterans?
we have probably about 5 of those, five young people like that. And what I tell them at a meeting is, if you know of something that we're not doing, you know, stand up and let us know. You know, and how can we attract? How can we make you happy? You know, how can we bring your friends in?
One
Yes.
thing you did was you had a party in a brewery. What was that about?
Well, we had a fundraiser that was 3 weeks ago at the Oyster Bay Brewing Company.
Oyster Bay Brewing
Yeah.
Company.
And some politicians came, and we had some members come, and it was good. It was good. They have every Tuesday night in Oyster Bay, the Chamber of Commerce shuts the entire village down, and they bring customized cars in and old cars, and so we capitalized on that. We had that, you know, we made that one that night. They gave us that night, and the 2 fire companies from Oyster Bay came in, and they draped a giant flag across the
Right.
street, and I think it went over really well.
What other kinds of events have you had?
Well, right now we're planning on the Oyster Fest.
The Oyster Fest
Yes.
in Oyster Bay?
We have been asked by the American Legion in Oyster Bay to partner with them in running their food concession.
Oh, very good.
And for as long as that Oyster Fest has been going, I have never seen a veterans recruitment booth. And last year we had Bob Lane come in with his display. And
Bob
he's-
Lane,
Yeah.
who
and
works
he's-
as our
Yep,
director here.
yep.
Yes.
And he's coming
Okay.
in again this year to help us out again.
Very good. That's not the same as the Oyster Bay Bluefish Tournament, is it?
No, that's the Oyster Fest.
The Oyster
Yeah,
Fest.
we probably get, in 2 days, we'll probably get maybe around 150, 200,000 people in town in 2 days.
200,000 people. When is that?
That's going to be October 13th and 14th.
Okay. How about the Bluefish Tournament?
I don't know. I haven't been
Okay.
involved in it at all.
I have to make sure I get into the Bluefish Tournament this year. Okay. Has your organization done anything?
Pardon?
For the AMVETS, do you do something? Do you do something for veterans?
Well, right now, when we first started our post, I made a mention that we wanted to have a signature program. So what we do is we collect food at every meeting. And to date, we have collected, for veterans food pantries, we have collected close to a half a ton of food.
Half a ton of food. Wow. Where do you give the food out to?
Well, it goes to the Nassau County Veteran Service Organization's food pantry in East Meadow,
Right.
or St. Paul's Catholic Church in Brookville.
Right.
They advertise in the Sunday section, the Veterans section in
Yeah.
Newsday.
I'm always curious why the St. Paul's, which is in a such an affluent area, how they can have a soup kitchen.
Well, it's not the residents. They have a lot of veterans come in from outside,
Really?
Hicksville and whatever. A lot of people come in from outside, and they also have a counseling service there, where you guys can sit outside on the patio and just shoot the breeze and have people talk to them.
And you want to know something else, Ed? A lot of things are changing now, and myself included, right? Once you retire, you'll agree, right? Once you retire from either the military or your private organization where you worked, and after about 2 to 5 years, your salary started being saturated. So you need more money. So most times when not only the civilian people or the veteran people, they manage their money because they out here on the island, Nassau County and Suffolk County, we have a whole expense of things that we have to pay for. And as things increase, we have to cut down in some areas. And what I'm finding out, and I guess you would agree, is a lot of people are cutting down when it comes time to eating and then feeding themselves. And they making that the last resort. They want to keep the lights and the gas going, the electricity going. They want to save up for their kids to go to college. They want to save up for their kids to be able to go on a vacation or take a music lesson or something. These stresses now are a little bit higher because a lot of us are not traveling into the city like we used to on the Long Island Railroad to make the funds that we need because the jobs are shrinking down on the island. So we having more stresses now, and a lot of people are not talking about it because of their personality, or they don't want to be begging. And we're going to find out that a lot of people that are not begging are the ones that are needy. So they'll go to those places if they feel like they're not being subjected to being criticized because they're asking for a hand. And it's not a hand out. It's a hand given that you already contribute to the community already. Would you agree, Richard?
I think so. It's not a handout, it's a hand up.
Yes.
So I'm figuring. The St. Paul's, they advertise in the Veterans section of Newsday, like I said, but they also, they don't strictly cater to veterans. They cater to whoever comes in the door. And we were there making a delivery, and the lady that runs the food pantry told one of their clients that we were veterans and we were there too. And the lady, she said, so you can take whatever you want. And the lady said, oh, no, I'll come back some other time because our veterans should go before us.
And what we don't, you're right.
She said, no, we're not, they're not here to receive, they're here to give food. They're here to make a donation.
And if we all reach out, and you'll see, the veterans that are serving now, even though there's not a war going on, those veterans were working, and they would contribute to the household. It may be a husband and a son or a daughter, all right? Now you have the wife there by themselves. The wife could be 60 to 70 or 80, and they home by themselves. You don't know, or they lost a spouse, and they home. And what I've learned from the Brentwood VFW, we have what they call a women's mature group. And I sat down with them and I asked them what are some of the things that are going on. And these are the stresses that are going on now. They don't have enough money, and they're not going to reach out because they never knew how to ask.
Yeah.
All right? And they don't want to be a burden because they think that they shouldn't ask. All right? However, if we reach out and say, no, come here, come engage with us, and you'll see that the needs are there, and you'll see how they would take. They don't want to feel like they're being a burden. But they're not going to say to you that my son is serving overseas or my daughter is serving overseas and I don't have the money and I don't have the food. So now the AMVETS, post number 21, have gone to the church. Now the people, even with the richest, because Ed now, what's going on now, everybody money is in the 201 funds or the 501 funds. The money is not laying there in the bank anymore. It's tied up in some kind of fund or a CD or something like that. And if you're not into business and you've never been into business, you don't even know how to go and reach those funds. So what happens is a lot of hungry people, and they're not just veterans, but they can be related to a veteran or they know of a veteran that's in need or something
I don't
like
believe they would be going to the food pantry if they didn't have to. You know what I mean? So it's not my job to ask them what you have, how much you make, or where I'm really not into that. Is get what you need. If you have what you need, fine. You know what I mean?
That's a wonderful
nobody
thing.
should go to bed hungry.
You're right
by
about
no
that.
means. We're also involved with the scouting, Eagle Scouts. If we made a couple of different donations now to the Eagle Scout projects. We're working right now to get something going with the assisted care in Oyster Bay, because they have a veterans community there also. And we'd like our members to go in maybe one day a month to play bingo or do horse racing or whatever. You know, just something to help out there. If we had our own building, we'd like to get them to come to our building and get the inmates out of the asylum for an hour or so. Just something where they can get away and.
You mentioned the Boy Scouts. What troop do you?
Which the one that's there's two of them in Oyster Bay.
Two troops in Oyster Bay?
Yeah, I don't know the numbers though.
Yeah. What do you do? Just give a citation to the Eagle Scout that's.
If an Eagle Scout comes and asks us for a donation for a project, we'll take that into consideration.
And a lot of times they have the award ceremony when they get their Eagle Scout. A lot of the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts now, because the
Girl Scouts have a gold award. Yeah.
Yeah, the Girl Scouts are coming up now, and I just want to let the viewers know. If you have a child that's getting ready to go into high school or getting ready to go into college, they need to join one of these organizations. They could come and volunteer. And then we have scholarship funds. I know the VFW have a scholarship fund that we give out to, and it could be between $20,000 or $30,000 to go off to college. If they submit an essay and they get the essay win, and they write about something pertaining to patriotic. There's a little area where you have to plug in at, but if they go to the website for the VFW, they will tell you what this year's essay competition requirements are. I don't know if the AMVETS have something similar to that, but most of the organizations for veteran organization have that.
The state of New York Service Foundation, I think they put out last year close to $40,000 in scholarships.
That's the AMVETS,
yes.
State of New York?
Yes. And Post 21 last year, or this year, we put out 2 scholarships, and they were $250 a piece. And we don't have the funds, we don't have a lot of funds to do stuff like that, but we do what we can do, okay? Maybe next year we'd like to expand it to 3 schools. We do right now, we did Oyster Bay, St. Dominic's, and maybe next year we'd like to bring Locust Valley into it, because a lot of our members come from Bayville.
Right.
So.
You mentioned that you were the state commander?
Yes.
What was that like when you were state commander? Did you have any projects that you can talk about?
Well, not really. Being a state commander, you're just overseeing, what goes on. You're visiting posts, and they were very heavily involved in my year with the Run for the Fallen.
Rug for the Fallen?
Yeah.
What is that?
That's a nationwide organization that they put flags out, they put monuments out for the people that died from 9/11 all the way up to any service member that died passed over. They have a Run for the Fallen, and it's they accept donations, and they like that.
How many different posts are there in the state?
The state of New York right now has 74.
74.
9 of them on Long Island, only 2 in Nassau County.
Where are most of them? Upstate New York?
Yes.
Upstate New York.
9 on Long Island,
9.
2 in Nassau County, so the rest are in Suffolk?
Yeah, the 7 in Suffolk County. We have another
Wow.
post right now that's being formed in Suffolk, and we have another post that's being formed in Queens. So right now, our membership for the state of New York is around 6,500, more or less. That's about
Yeah.
it. You know,
That's
and
good.
nationwide, we're 250,000. I read in the paper today that the American Legion has 2 million, and the
2
VFW
million
has
in the American Legion.
1.2 million in the VFW. So we're nowhere near that, you know, but we're plugging along.
Sure, sure.
The reason why now the VFW have so many is because of the Iraqi and Afghanistan war now. If it wasn't because of that war, we wouldn't have so many, because we're losing a lot just like everyone else. You know, we're losing a lot of
Yeah, I heard
veterans.
that the number that we had during World War II was 16 million men under arms, and today we just have 1.5 million. So
And-
that's a big drop.
Yes.
World War II veterans are dying off, I believe, at a rate of 1,000 a week.
Yeah,
I think that's what it is right now. We've seen the end of the World War I veterans, so
yeah.
very conceivably, we can see the end of the World War II veterans also.
The World War I veterans, I remember them in 1970s. I used to go to the UVO ceremonies at Eisenhower Park, and there was always a couple of World War I veterans there. And that's amazing, that all of a sudden we are the old timers. I won't say who's 78 sitting here, but it's
I look
one
good,
of the
don't
three
I?
of us.
I look wonderful.
But that's amazing.
Well, it's time for the younger veteran to stand up and be counted, and unfortunately, we are the younger veterans.
Yes, but they
We
they
are
will
the
come.
veterans.
They will come along. I have a lot of confidence in them. I've been going to some of the colleges and speaking to some of the veterans, and what happened is they want to do their own little twist of things, but they are coming through. And like you see, the new organizations that are popping up now, you know, 911 vets, and you have the peer-to-peer program. They come
Right.
together, they're going to splat out, and then they probably going to start something, and then hopefully they'll come and join with everyone else. Just like now the VFW and AMVETS is sitting here, and American Legions is sitting here. We represented 3 different organizations, and this is a historical moment too, because we don't have this all the time.
Right.
Right? But now we all as one, and we all are veterans. So we all need to join together and say, it's not that we served in the military, it's our obligations to serve our community. How could you serve overseas and protect someone else, and you're here in your country and you're not protecting your own community? If we all take keen to what Richard is doing and what you have done, Ed, right? With this show, we probably would get further along, because we all need someone to help us. All right, we can't do it by ourselves.
Yeah.
We need to come and form.
It's amazing how many communities have posts, buildings that belong to a veterans organization, and there's hardly anybody inside. I mean, they have bars, and they're not using them anymore, and they rent them out to the community, but that's all. Yeah.
And they have to realize, go ahead. I'm
Buildings
Richard.
are underutilized. That's a fact. But it's no fun to hang around someplace that's no fun to hang around.
Okay, time is up. I hope everyone enjoyed the show. Please come back next month, and watch the show. Watch the show anew.
And thank you, Richard.
Thank
Yes,
Thank you for your
thank you very
service.
much.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Thank you for your service also.
Okay. Okay.